Picture this. Apple pays $15 million to feature their laptop in Mission Impossible, only to watch their product get recalled the exact same week the film hits theaters. That's just the beginning of the absolute chaos that surrounded this legendary franchise's birth. What you're about to discover will completely change how you see every death-defying stunt, every explosive sequence, and every impossible mission Tom Cruise has ever attempted. Now, if you're the type of person who loves uncovering the insane stories that Hollywood tries to hide, then smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because I dig up these buried secrets every single week. Trust me, the rabbit hole goes way deeper than just Mission Impossible, and what I'm about to reveal will make you question everything you thought you knew about your favorite blockbusters. Number 20. Cruise. Handpicked, his director through a movie marathon. After a casual dinner with Steven Spielberg, Tom Cruise went home and binge-watched every single Brian De Palma film he could get his hands on. Scarface, Carrie, The Untouchables. Cruise consumed De Palma's entire filmography in one obsessive viewing session. That marathon convinced him De Palma was the only director who could handle the intensity he envisioned. But this decision would create problems nobody saw coming. What Cruise didn't realize was that De Palma's perfectionist nature and his own controlling tendencies would clash in ways that would nearly derail the entire production. The director's signature style, those sweeping camera movements, and psychological tension seemed perfect for a spy thriller, but their working relationship would become so strained that Hollywood insiders started whispering about on-set battles that made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Speaking of things that didn't go according to plan, Cruise's vision for this reboot involved making some absolutely ruthless decisions about the source material. Number 19. Only one character survived the reboot. When Cruise decided to transform the beloved TV series into a movie franchise, he made a brutal choice. Every single character from the original show got the axe except one, Jim Phelps. Even the loyal fans who grew up watching the series had no idea their favorite characters were about to be completely erased from existence. The original Mission Impossible TV series had built a loyal fan base around its ensemble cast, each member bringing unique skills to the team. Cruise's decision to essentially nuke this beloved setup and start fresh with mostly new characters sent shockwaves through Hollywood. Paramount executives were nervous about alienating longtime fans, but Cruise convinced them that a clean slate was the only way to create something truly cinematic. The gamble paid off financially, but it left some serious enemies in its wake. But even keeping one original character wouldn't save the production from the writing nightmare that was about to unfold. Number 18. 3 legendary writers couldn't nail the script. Hollywood heavyweights kept rewriting this script right up until cameras rolled. David Koepp, Robert Towne, and Steven Zaillian, 3 of the industry's most respected writers, continuously reshaped the story while filming was already underway. The cast literally didn't know what they'd be shooting from day to day. These weren't amateur screenwriters struggling with their first draft. These were Academy Award winners and nominees who had crafted some of cinema's most memorable scripts. Yet somehow, the Mission Impossible story kept evolving and changing so dramatically that entire plot threads would be written, filmed, then completely scrapped. The budget kept climbing as scenes were reshot, storylines were abandoned, and new sequences were conceived on the fly. Studio executives watched their investments spiral out of control while 3 of the industry's best writers tried to crack the code of what this movie was supposed to be. And if you think starting production with script problems was insane, wait until you hear about the chaos that erupted when cameras actually started rolling. Number 17. Filming started without a finished script. The production chaos reached insane levels when De Palma actually began shooting before anyone had completed a final screenplay. Actors would show up to set each morning genuinely unsure what scenes they'd be performing, what their characters' motivations were, or even if their characters would survive to the next day's shooting. This wasn't just inconvenient, it was absolutely unprecedented for a major studio blockbuster. Veteran actors who had worked on dozens of films were completely bewildered by the experience. Some scenes were shot multiple times with completely different dialogue and plot points, creating a post-production nightmare that would haunt the editors for months. The crew started placing bets on which version of each scene would actually make it into the final cut. Insurance companies were pulling their hair out as the production costs skyrocketed with no clear end in sight. But the script chaos was nothing compared to the personal vendetta that was brewing behind the scenes. Number 16. Original TV director banned from his own creation, Brian De Palma, made a decision that sent shockwaves through the television industry. He banned Reza Badi, one of the original Mission Impossible TV series directors, from even visiting the set. De Palma's exact words were that Badi's presence would be awkward, effectively exiling the man who had helped shape the very show they were adapting. This wasn't just professional rivalry. It was a calculated move to distance the film from its television roots. De Palma wanted complete creative control and saw any connection to the original series as a threat to his vision. Badi had directed some of the most beloved episodes of the TV show, and his exclusion sent a clear message to the entertainment industry. This wasn't going to be a respectful adaptation, but a complete reimagining that showed no mercy to the source material. And if you think banning the original creators was ruthless, the financial decisions were about to get even more shocking. Number 15. A ska song immortalized Cruise's fake identity. Tom Cruise's undercover alias Philip Doucette became so iconic that it inspired an actual ska song in the Orange County music scene. Local bands started referencing the name in their tracks, turning Cruise's fictional spy identity into an underground cultural phenomenon that nobody in Hollywood saw coming. The ska scene was exploding in Southern California during the mid-90s, and somehow, Mission Impossible's throwaway character name struck a chord with musicians who were already obsessed with spy movies and secret agent culture. The song became a minor hit at local venues, with fans singing along to lyrics about international espionage and impossible missions. Cruise had no idea his character's fake name had become a rallying cry for teenage ska fans until years later, when someone showed him footage of crowds chanting Philip Doucette at concerts. But this underground cultural impact was nothing compared to the international incident that was brewing overseas. Number 14. Post-communist Prague saw $signs. Mission Impossible became the first major Hollywood production to film in Prague after the fall of communism, but the Czech authorities saw this as their golden opportunity to cash in. They charged the production team 10 times the normal rate for filming at historic palaces, turning what should have been a cost-saving international shoot into a budget nightmare. The Czech Republic was desperate to establish itself as a filming destination and attract Western money to help rebuild their economy. But their negotiating tactics were ruthless. They knew Hollywood had never filmed there before, and that the stunning architecture was irreplaceable. The production team found themselves held hostage by bureaucrats who demanded outrageous fees for permits, location access, and even basic services. What was supposed to be an exotic, affordable shooting location turned into one of the most expensive parts of the entire production. Yet even these international shakedowns couldn't compare to the romantic subplot that almost destroyed the entire film. Number 13. George Lucas killed the love triangle. A massive romantic subplot between Ethan Hunt, Claire, and Jim Phelps was completely scrapped after George Lucas delivered some brutal advice to the producers. The Star Wars creator warned them that adding a love triangle would completely destroy the spy thriller's tone and turn it into a melodramatic mess that audiences would reject. The original script had Ethan torn between his feelings for his mentor's wife and his loyalty to the mission, creating an emotional core that the writers thought would add depth to the action sequences. Entire scenes were written, storyboarded, and nearly filmed before Lucas intervened during a casual industry dinner. His exact words reportedly were that spy movies lived or died on their sense of danger and paranoia, and romance would kill that tension instantly. The producers realized he was absolutely right and made the painful decision to gut nearly 30 pages of character development. This wasn't the only major creative decision that would haunt the production team. Number 12. De Palma and Cruise's legendary feud. Rumors of behind-the-scenes battles between Brian De Palma and Tom Cruise became so intense that De Palma never returned to direct another Mission Impossible film. Their clashes were reportedly so explosive that crew members would clear the set when they saw the two men approaching each other. The conflict centered around creative control and Cruise's increasing involvement in every aspect of production. De Palma was known for his meticulous, controlling directorial style, but Cruise had his own very specific vision for how the action sequences should be filmed and how his character should be portrayed. When two perfectionists with opposing ideas are locked in the same project, the resulting tension becomes toxic. Multiple sources reported shouting matches, passive-aggressive script changes, and creative sabotage that made the set feel like a war zone rather than a collaborative film production. But even their legendary battles couldn't overshadow the surprise cameo that nobody saw coming. Number 11. Emilio Estevez's shocking return. Emilio Estevez's brief appearance in Mission Impossible marked the third time he had shared screen time with Tom Cruise, reuniting two actors whose careers had taken wildly different paths since their Brat Pack days. His quick role came as a complete surprise to audiences who had no idea he was even involved in the project. The casting was kept so secret that Estevez didn't appear in any promotional materials, trailers, or press releases. His character's fate in the opening sequence became one of the film's most shocking moments, precisely because audiences weren't expecting to see a recognizable face get eliminated so quickly. The decision to cast him was both a nostalgic nod to Cruise's earlier career and a calculated move to surprise viewers who thought they knew what to expect from the film. And speaking of unexpected moments, the technical challenges were about to reach deadly proportions. Number 10. 140 miles per hour winds nearly destroyed Cruise's face during the intense train sequence. Tom Cruise endured punishment from a massive wind machine that battered his face with air, moving at 140 miles per hour. The physical toll was so severe that makeup artists had to constantly touch up the damage between takes, and Cruise's eyes were streaming tears that had nothing to do with acting. The wind machine was essentially a jet engine pointed directly at Cruise's head while he performed on top of a moving train set. The force was so intense that it was physically impossible to keep his eyes open or speak clearly, yet he insisted on doing take after take to get the perfect shot. The sound crew couldn't capture usable audio because the wind noise was deafening, meaning all of his dialogue had to be recorded in post-production. Stunt coordinators were genuinely concerned about permanent damage to his face and eyes, but Cruise refused to use a stunt double or reduce the wind speed. But this death-defying sequence wasn't even the most dangerous stunt he performed. Number 9. Tom Cruise built this entire franchise. What most people don't realize is that Tom Cruise didn't just star in Mission Impossible. He conceived the entire reboot, pitched it to studios, secured the financing, and served as producer while also handling the lead role. This wasn't an actor getting hired for a pre-existing project. This was Cruise single-handedly creating what would become one of cinema's most successful action franchises. Cruise had been obsessed with the original TV series since childhood and spent years trying to figure out how to transform it into a feature film. He personally approached Paramount executives, developed the initial concept, and convinced them to give him unprecedented creative control over the property. Most actors dream of having this level of influence over a major studio production, but Cruise made it happen through sheer determination and his proven track record at the box office. The financial risk was enormous. If the film failed, his reputation as both a star and producer would have been destroyed. But even Cruise's careful planning couldn't prevent the most embarrassing marketing disaster in Hollywood history. Number 8. The original TV cast declared war. Peter Graves, Martin Landau, and Greg Morris, three beloved stars from the original Mission Impossible TV series, publicly slammed the film's script and expressed outrage over the decision to make Jim Phelps the villain. Their criticism created a media firestorm that threatened to destroy the film's reputation before it even reached theaters. These weren't just disgruntled former employees complaining about being left out of the reboot. These were respected actors who had defined their characters for years and felt betrayed by the film's creative choices. Martin Landau was particularly vocal, stating that turning Phelps into a traitor completely destroyed everything the original series represented. Peter Graves refused to even watch the film, calling the villain twist a desecration of the character he had worked alongside for years. Their public statements created a PR nightmare for Paramount, who found themselves defending creative decisions to the very people who had made the property valuable in the first place. Yet this public relations disaster was nothing compared to the spoiler catastrophe that was built right into the film. Number 7. The opening credits ruined everything. The film's opening credit sequence accidentally revealed 7 major plot twists before the actual story even began, essentially spoiling the entire movie for observant viewers who paid attention to the cast list and character names. Film editors and marketing teams realized too late that eagle-eyed audiences could deduce major story developments simply by analyzing who was credited and how their names appeared on screen. The order of the credits, the way certain actors' names were presented, and even the timing of when names appeared provided massive clues about character deaths, betrayals, and plot revelations that were supposed to shock viewers later in the film. This wasn't just a minor oversight, it was a fundamental failure of storytelling that undermined months of careful plot construction and misdirection. But even these marketing missteps couldn't overshadow the ingenious low-tech solution to the film's most iconic sequence. Number 6. Pocket change saved the CIA vault scene. During the legendary Langley Vault infiltration sequence, Tom Cruise literally used coins from his pocket to help maintain perfect balance while suspended horizontally above the pressure-sensitive floor. The most high-tech spy sequence in cinema history was actually achieved using the most basic props imaginable. The stunt required Cruise to remain perfectly motionless while hanging parallel to the floor, and even the slightest movement could have triggered the alarm system they had constructed for the scene. The harness system was so sensitive that Cruise's natural breathing was causing minor oscillations that threatened to ruin the shot. In desperation, the stunt coordinators started experimenting with different ways to achieve perfect stability and discovered that strategically placed coins could provide just enough counterweight to eliminate the unwanted movement. What appeared on screen as cutting-edge spy technology was actually Tom Cruise clutching loose change while trying not to breathe too heavily. And this low-tech ingenuity was just one example of the creative problem-solving that saved the production from complete disaster. Number 5. Danny Elfman revolutionized an icon. Danny Elfman took the classic Mission Impossible theme song and completely reinvented it for the modern era, creating a version so powerful that U2's adaptation of his arrangement earned a Grammy nomination. What most fans don't realize is that Elfman's version almost never happened because studio executives were terrified of tampering with such an iconic piece of music. The original Lalo Schifrin theme was already perfect in the minds of most people, and Paramount executives initially wanted to use it unchanged throughout the film. Elfman had to fight for permission to create his own interpretation, arguing that a modern action thriller needed a score that matched its intensity and pace. His electronic-enhanced orchestral arrangement became the template for every subsequent Mission Impossible film, and his dramatic restructuring of the familiar melody created musical moments that were somehow both nostalgic and completely fresh. The U2 version that played over the end credits became a radio hit, proving that Elfman's instincts about updating the classic theme were absolutely correct. But even this musical triumph couldn't solve the massive logistical nightmare that was transforming Prague into a movie set. Number 4. Prague required 11 generators and 2 miles of lights. The Prague riverfront sequences required such an enormous lighting setup that the production team had to bring in 11 industrial generators and run electrical cables for over 2 miles to create the glowing nighttime atmosphere you see in the final film. Prague had never hosted anything remotely close to this scale of production. The Czech Republic's electrical grid couldn't handle a major Hollywood night shoot, forcing them to create their own temporary power plant. The visual effect was stunning, but the behind-the-scenes reality was an electrical engineering project that cost more than some entire independent films. Yet all of this technical wizardry couldn't prevent the most dangerous stunt from nearly turning deadly. Number 3. 16 tons of water almost drowned Cruise. The exploding fish tank sequence put Tom Cruise in genuine mortal danger when 16 tons of water came crashing down on him during a stunt that went horribly wrong. What was supposed to be a controlled effect turned into a life-threatening situation that required immediate emergency response from the stunt crew. The structural failure happened differently than planned, and instead of a controlled splash, Cruise found himself trapped under an enormous volume of water with debris. He couldn't surface quickly enough on his own, and it took multiple crew members to pull him to safety. Even after this near-death experience, Cruise insisted on doing the reshoot himself rather than using a stunt double. But this wasn't even the most shocking deception that fooled audiences. Number 2. The Missing Kiss That Fooled Everyone movie trailers heavily promoted a romantic storyline between Tom Cruise and his co-star, but the final film contains absolutely zero kisses or romantic scenes. The marketing department created an entire campaign around a love story that was completely edited out of the finished product. Audiences who bought tickets expecting romantic spy thrills were completely baffled when the film contained no romance whatsoever. Some viewers actually demanded refunds, claiming they had been tricked into seeing an action movie when they'd been promised a romantic adventure. The disconnect became a cautionary tale in Hollywood about promoting scenes that might not survive the final edit. And the number one most shocking revelation will completely blow your mind. Number 1. Apple's $15 million disaster. Apple paid a massive $15 million for prominent PowerBook placement throughout Mission Impossible, only to watch their featured laptop get recalled for safety defects during the exact same week the film was released nationwide. The timing was so catastrophic that it became the most expensive product placement backfire in Hollywood history. The PowerBook 5300 was supposed to be Apple's triumphant return to the high-end laptop market, designed to showcase cutting-edge capabilities to millions of viewers. Instead, the laptop's battery was prone to catching fire, leading to a worldwide recall during the film's opening weekend. Moviegoers watched Ethan Hunt use his sleek Apple laptop to save the world, then went home to news reports about the same computer being a fire hazard. And there you have it, 20 absolutely insane secrets that prove the most impossible missions happen behind the camera. If these stories blew your mind, smash that like button because it genuinely helps the algorithm show this video to more people who love uncovering Hollywood's buried secrets. Drop a comment below telling me which fact shocked you the most. Was it Apple's $15 million disaster, or maybe that deadly fish tank stunt? And if you're hungry for more of these deep dive exposés into your favorite movies, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell because I'm constantly digging up stories that the studios never want you to hear. Trust me, what I've got planned next will make Mission Impossible look like child's play.